My bigger concern is with housing, because the housing, we've seen the number of sales has fallen completely. People can't afford to sell, they can't afford to take on a new mortgage. So people aren't selling, but the reason when selling starts is when unemployment ticks up and people are forced to sell. So obviously demand will fall, which will, as unemployment goes up, which will help bring inflation down. But the housing market is expensive, and that will start to break as employment starts to tick higher.
Is it though? I mean, like, people tell me this, and like my property just like hasn't gone up from everyone. I don't know. This has been like 10 years.
Yeah, I think central London house prices is unique. It attracts international money.
Yeah, sure, that's true. So you had international. So 2016. Before 2016, it was the fear of the Brexit vote, what that would mean. Then you had the vote. Then you had a period of stagnation. So no one wanted to buy central London, or no one. I think the international money was not that keen, and waited to see what happened. Then obviously we did have Brexit, but also COVID. People wanted to move out of central London. So yeah, fair enough. Like central London is probably a different beast. Yep. And you think outside of central London, prices have gone higher? Yeah,
if you look at the US, we had data last week. Home sale or home inventory, that was it, has jumped aggressively.
People, what does that mean?
Houses listed for sale.
Oh, I see.
And it's record numbers in China. We know that housing property is a huge problem there, but in the US,
but again,
inventories are going up
this
aggressively.
Is like the whole that I keep forgetting the guy's name, the anti-fragile guy, Black Swan.
Nassim Taleb.
Yeah, Nassim Taleb. His whole, I've never seen never seen a scarcity or a shortage not followed by a glut, but he has seen a glut not followed by a shortage. So again, that's just like so many people made money out of property for so long. And then you had the stuff in China. It's kind of, you do expect leveling out, things to burst a bit. I don't know. To me, I wouldn't say that's indicative of like a big reversal in trend. It's just the classic people getting overhyped, and there's always going to be demand for houses, right? I mean, is this not recency bias again? Or?
I think at a certain price. The key was there's an 18-month period when COVID struck where house prices in the US went up 45%, but the mortgage rate went from something like 1.8% to just over 8%.
Yeah.
And that's a huge move.
No, it's true. I don't know. How do you look at property? Do you see it as unaffordable?
Yes. I think that's like the biggest thing for like people in our generation, is that you'll never be able to afford property. I think that's
you are told that all the time as well. Like, is that actually what you believe, or?
I think it's just everywhere. As you said, information is so available and on like social media or on like, let's say, an article or something, like depending on the channel you're reading. And I think both those channels keep talking about how unaffordable property is right now, especially the younger that you are. That's just how I've always looked at property.
I mean, in London, it's unfathomable. I live in East London, and like a one-bed in Bow, not even near the tube station, like a 20-minute walk to the tube station was like 350 grand.
Yeah, no, fair
it's
enough.
madness.
I think I can think of maybe going to Asia and buying property after earning here, but like that's
you say that, but you know, like Japan, for example, like it got out absolutely insane. You'll know about this, right?
Yeah, I read this week, I think there's 9 million now vacant properties in Japan.
Yeah, but again, because it went absolutely nuts for so long.
Also the demographics.
Right, yeah, okay. So what, people getting older, dying,
yep.
Vacancies going up, that kind of thing. So I guess, yeah, in this country at least, people want lower house prices, but then so much of people's wealth is tied into houses, and it was for the last 30, 40 years, that's what people did, right? They bought houses, and that house prices getting weaker is actually pretty bad for our economy, I think.
It's also bad for politicians. Hence you get their buy to rent schemes or whatever schemes they have, because it's suicidal if house prices fall for the government.
Yeah. But again, it's mentality. And if you look at, say, Germany, obviously they're judged on their basically engineering, their production, things like that. And then suddenly you don't have the cheap energy from Russia or cheap and accessible energy from Russia. They're relying on, I guess, skilled immigrants or people actually staying in the Eastern countries or countries around Germany. They're actually just staying there now. And there's all these things that were helping Germany be what it was is now not there, and it's on the decline. And apparently for a long, this is me, I heard this, I don't know if it's 100% true. It's just not a thing in Germany to own property. Like, you just rent. That's what, and that could be absolute crap that I heard on a channel. But as in, what I'm trying to get at with that is, there is just this mentality that you need to own a property in UK. And I just don't know what to say about other countries. I've lived a bit in Australia. I don't remember there. It's too young. But what is this obsession with buying a house? It's because it comes from like, it's what you should do. So is that changing? Will that change? Does it have to mean that prices will go down? It's because then there's all these like willing buyers waiting at a certain level, right? So I don't really think that's ever a thing that's going to happen personally. It's just a mentality shift into, okay, what are the alternatives? But then you might say, but rent is going up ridiculously, and that is where regulation steps in. That we're meant to step in. So I don't know. The housing argument's never a big one for me because it's always looking back at the last, say, 40, 50 years. But then the last 40, 50 years was a whole different mentality. And then we finally had the housing crisis. And then it's just that I don't know if the next generations are thinking the same way. If you guys had, if you were able to leverage it and just about get a property you wanted, would you put everything on the line to do it?
Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. If you're our age, you will have to put everything you have into getting a house, yeah. But
you will want to do that. But why? Where is the want to do that?
I think it's just, it sounds stupid, but it's just a sense of having something.
Yeah.
It's not a sense of, oh, my landlord's going to jack up my rent in 2 days because they feel like it. Or like I can actually deal with the mold growing in my house without getting told off. Like it's just being able to have that control. I can hang a picture on the wall if I want.
So there's value in that ownership and control.
Yeah,
that goes
and then
beyond.
you'll have, like in the future, you could, use it to
rip off people and rent later on. You did it to me, I did it to you. No, but the point I'm trying to make, James, is that like there is that underlying, if they've got the cash and they're able to leverage, they will do it because it's a want that goes beyond investing. So how can we think that's?
I think it's just human nature.
Yeah, it's stability as well, just like having a house that you wouldn't have to keep moving out of.
But then you're almost propping the market up with that mentality. It's kind of my point. Do you see what I mean?
It is UK human nature. Because you're right about Germany, and it suddenly took off about 2018.
You took a while to support my point there.
2019.
So it is true about Germany, is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah.
But what's happened there, it's gone up massively, something like, I don't know the exact numbers, but then it's collapsed in like the last 6 months. So people are now getting burnt.
But also buying? The next generation ready there to buy?
I think people now are walking away from it, having been burnt.
Okay, interesting.